Hello and welcome to this Scientific Principles video with Elec Training. In previous videos we've learnt about electronic components, and in this video we're going to see how some of those electronic components can be fitted into electronic systems to make them work. The first system we'll look at is a security alarm system. I'm just going to point out a few things in this circuit diagram. So over here we've got the sounder. So this is the part that would obviously make the sound if the alarm is activated, and down in the left corner here we've got the alarm contact. So this is the point at which you would set off the alarm. So an alarm contact is either normally closed or normally open, and the letters here NC stand for normally closed. So that means that current can flow through this switch, and it's only by pressing it that we would open the switch and change the condition of this alarm system. So we've got a couple of resistors, one there and one down there. We don't need to worry too much about those. They're essentially to limit the current flow in certain points of the circuit. They also affect how the transistor is set up. So that brings me on to the transistor. This circle here is the transistor, TR1. And the transistor has three terminals or three pins for connection. We've got the base pin, we've got a collector pin, and we've got an emitter pin, and it's connected as you can see. And what the current situation of the alarm would be with the alarm contact in the normally closed position is that there's a point of connection between the base, and if we just follow this line here down to this point here, which is Earth, that's the symbol for Earth, and so the potential or the voltage applied to the base is 0 at this point in time, and that means that the transistor is in the off condition. And remember, with a transistor it's not a physical switch, it's a semiconductor, and it changes its condition between conducting and non-conducting. And what will happen is when we press the alarm contact, we open it, and therefore we've now no longer got a connection here down to Earth at this point, so the base now raises in potential, and so that increase in potential or voltage activates the transistor to be in the on condition. Now that in turn means that current will flow out of the transistor along this conductor here, and this is the gate of the thyristor. So we've now activated the gate of the thyristor, and that means that current can now flow through the thyristor, and that's what's going to set the alarm off. Now the thing about the way this is set up is that the alarm will continue to sound even after we've let go of the alarm contact. So with the alarm contact can go back to the closed position, but the thyristor will still continue to conduct electricity, so the sounder will continue to sound, and the only thing that can stop it would actually be to turn the power off completely to this system. So that's the first one, the security alarm system. Let's take a look at the next one. Now we'll take a look at a telephone system. We've got a diagram on the left there of a master socket. That's a telephone master socket. And we've got a picture on the right of the reverse of a socket. The part that you might recognise there is in the middle is the socket where you actually press the telephone line plug into, and it's got all the parts actually annotated there. So we've got a capacitor, this part is the capacitor, and on the diagram that's represented by these two parallel lines, C1, and it's called a ring capacitor because it's part of the circuit that enables the telephone to actually make the ringing sound. And it does that because a capacitor, you may recall from previous videos, is a device that stores an electric charge and then releases it, and it can keep doing this every time there's a change in the direction of the current, and that is part of what is used to create the ringing effect in the telephone. Now we've got a resistor here. The resistor is shown there on the photograph, and in the diagram that's shown there by the rectangle, and the resistor is used as part of the system for testing the line. So the telephone technicians require a resistor to be in this system to test the line is functioning properly. And then we have a surge protector shown in the picture there, and that's in the diagram is the circle with the two lines similar to a capacitor, and the surge protector is there literally to protect the device from any surge of voltage and current that can occur in any electrical system, and these devices are quite sensitive, so it's there for protection. Now that's basically the UK master socket, and every house has to have at least one socket, so it would be a master socket. But they can have a number of additional sockets, and these would be called either slave sockets or secondary sockets. And you can have several of those because they don't have any electronic components in them. They simply have the wiring that connects between the master socket and these slave sockets. So all the work is really done by the master socket, and we've gone through the different parts there: the capacitor, the surge protector, and the resistor. And you may need to recall in an exam situation, the purpose of the capacitor is it's part of the system that enables the phone to ring. It's part of the ringing circuit. The resistor is there for testing purposes of the line, and the surge protector is to protect the sensitive electronic devices from any surge in voltage and currents. And the last one now, we'll look at how a dimmer switch works to dim a light. So this circuit includes the light there, the lamp. Most of what's seen here in the diagram would be within the dimmer switch, so it's all of this area would be within the dimmer switch. And we've got various components. We've got resistors. There's 3 resistors, one of them is a variable resistor. We've got capacitors down here, we've got a diac, and we've got a triac. So how this works, the capacitor charges and releases that charge. Remember, it stores an electric charge and releases it as the current changes direction. And so the release of the charge from the capacitor is sufficient to activate the diac, and then the diac becomes in a conducting condition. So current will flow through this area here to the trigger of the triac. So the gate of the triac is triggered, and then the triac becomes conducting. So the current will flow and the light will come on. However, as this is now happening, we've also got current flowing back through the capacitors, which will then deactivate the capacitors. It will kind of take the charge out of them, and in that moment in time there's nothing to activate the diac anymore, so the diac becomes non-conducting, which in turn means that the triac becomes non-conducting and the light goes off. Now, although we perceive a light when we're using a dimmer switch to grow dim, in reality what's happening is it's going on and off very quickly, so fast you can't really see it happening, because the sine wave, remember, the output of the electrical system is a sine wave where we have an increase and a decrease, and an increase and decrease in the opposite direction, and that's happening 50 times a second. And the effect of this using capacitors to trigger diacs and triacs and to turn the system on and off means that we're actually cutting some of the supply of that sine wave. So some of the voltage is cut off for moments in time, and that means that overall within the sine wave the amount of voltage is going to reduce. The average voltage will be less, and that means that the light will then be dim because it will have less voltage and less current flowing through it. And we can control how much of that effect by the dimmer switch usually has a dial that you turn, and that will control a variable resistor which will have an impact on the capacitors and all the other components to make the light dim to whatever degree you want. It's quite a lot to get used to and to get your head round, but the main things in an exam is to remember the purpose in light dimmers is that diacs trigger triacs, and in turn capacitors trigger diacs, which trigger triacs to create the dimming effect. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.